She agreed to be his surrogate, but carried the billionaire's heart too. She was his surrogate. Paid. Professional. Temporary. Until the ultrasound showed twins, one his, one not. Until his cardiologist gave him 18 months to live. Until her mother died and he was all she had left. So they made a choice that broke every rule. They'd raise both babies together, destroy the DNA test, and love each other for whatever time remained. That was 5 years ago. He's still alive. The treatment worked. They got married. Built a family. Beat the odds. But yesterday, his heart started failing again. And his dying wish is the one thing that will destroy everything they've built. He wants to know which child is biologically his. Because he needs to know that some part of him will survive. And she has to decide, does she dig up the truth they buried, or does she let him die without ever knowing? Some love stories don't have happy endings. They have honest ones. And honesty costs blood. Welcome to Emotional Voyage. I'm so glad you're here to share this journey with me. If this content resonates with you, please hit the like button and subscribe. Your support helps me create even deeper, more meaningful videos for our community. Let's navigate these emotions together. Before we begin, I want you to ask yourself something. Have you ever made a choice out of desperation that changed your life forever? Drop a comment and let me know, because today's story is about two people who did exactly that, and what they discovered was far more complicated than either of them expected. If you're ready for a story about love born from loss, hope built on broken foundations, and a family that defied every rule, then let's dive in. The contract arrived on a Tuesday. Ava Monroe sat at her kitchen table, the one that wobbled if you put weight on the left side, and read the document 3 times. Her coffee had gone cold. Outside, Philadelphia's spring rain turned the window into a watercolor blur. Gestational surrogacy AGREEMENT compensation, $85,000 plus medical expenses. Her hands didn't shake. She'd made the decision weeks ago, during her mother's 3rd hospital admission in 6 months. Ovarian cancer didn't care about payment plans. What made her pause wasn't the money. It was Section 14.3. In the event of medical emergency requiring choice between maternal and fetal survival, the intended parent shall have final decision-making authority. Ava set down the pen. Her phone buzzed. Mom's name lit the screen. "Hey, baby. Did you eat today?" Ava swallowed the thickness in her throat. Her mother's voice sounded thin, stretched like old elastic. "Yeah, Mom. I'm good. How are you feeling?" "Oh, you know me. Tough as nails." A pause. A cough that lasted too long. "Ava, you don't have to." "I know." Ava picked up the pen. "I want to." After hanging up, she signed. The ink looked darker than it should have. What she didn't include in the medical history. 3 years ago, her fiancé had walked into the Schuylkill River with stones in his pockets. 2 weeks before their wedding. No note. No signs she'd recognized. She'd spent every day since looking for cracks in people, terrified of missing them again. Pause for a moment. Have you ever signed something that felt like you were signing away part of yourself? When desperation meets opportunity, where do we draw the line between survival and sacrifice? Comment below. I read every single one. Julian Ashcroft's office occupied the 47th floor of Liberty Place. From here, Philadelphia looked like a toy city, something he could rearrange with his hands. He couldn't rearrange his past. "The surrogate has signed," his lawyer said, sliding the folder across the desk. "Medical screening begins next week. Everything is proceeding according to." "Did you tell her?" Julian interrupted. His lawyer paused. "Tell her what?" "About Claire." Silence. "Mr. Ashcroft, your late wife's medical history isn't legally required disclosure. The surrogate needs to know about your genetic profile, not." "She died giving birth." Julian's voice came out flat. "To my child. Doesn't that seem relevant?" "The circumstances were exceptional. Your wife had undiagnosed." "I know what she had." Julian turned back to the window. His reflection looked older than 38. I was there. The lawyer cleared his throat. The contract protects both parties. In the unlikely event of complications, you have decision-making authority. But the screening is thorough. This won't be like. Thank you. That'll be all. When the door closed, Julian opened the folder. The Surrogate's photo was professional, clinical. Brown hair pulled back. Hazel eyes that looked directly at the camera. Mid-20s, the file said. Bachelor's degree in social work, currently unemployed. Mother undergoing cancer treatment. He flipped to her psychological evaluation. Subject demonstrates high empathy, strong maternal instincts, notable self-sacrificing tendencies. Some indicators of unprocessed grief. Cleared for participation with standard counseling provisions. Julian closed the folder. He'd promised himself he'd never do this again, create a life that might cost another. But he was dying. Not quickly, not dramatically. Cardiac amyloidosis, the kind that gave you 5 years if you were lucky, 3 if you weren't. A child was the only immortality he'd get. He just had to make sure this time, he didn't kill anyone to get it. Here's what I want to know. Is it selfish to bring a child into the world when you know you won't be there to raise them? Or is it the most selfless act of hope? Drop your thoughts below. There's no right answer, but I'm curious where you stand. The clinic smelled like expensive nothing. Lavender. Ozone. Ava couldn't place it. Ms. Monroe. The nurse's smile was professionally warm. We're ready for you. The medical screening took 3 hours. Blood draws, ultrasounds, psychological assessments. Everyone spoke in soft voices, as if pregnancy was a secret they were all keeping together. You'll meet the intended parent next week, the coordinator explained. Just a formality. Legal consent, mutual acknowledgement. Very brief. Does he know? Ava hesitated. About my situation? My mom. Only what's legally required. Medical history, basic background. The arrangement is designed to maintain appropriate boundaries. The coordinator's smile tightened slightly. That's better for everyone. Ava nodded. Better. Right. That night, she researched gestational surrogacy complications. Page after page of medical terminology that boiled down to, your body isn't yours for 9 months. She clicked on a forum thread, surrogate mothers who kept the baby, legal consequences? Her cursor hovered over it. She closed the laptop. The meeting room was designed to be neutral. Gray walls, minimal furniture, no windows. A table divided the space like a treaty line. Ava arrived early. She wore a navy dress she'd bought for job interviews that never went anywhere, and tried to remember the breathing exercises from the psych eval. You are providing a service. This is a transaction. Don't make it more complicated than it is. The door opened. The man who entered didn't look like the photos she'd found online, those corporate headshots where wealth made everyone look identical. In person, Julian Ashcroft looked tired. His suit was expensive but rumpled. Dark circles under darker eyes. A surgical scar along his left temple that the photos had airbrushed away. He stopped when he saw her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Ms. Monroe. His voice was deeper than she'd expected. He moved toward the table but didn't sit. I'm Julian Ashcroft. I know. She stood, shook his hand. His palm was warm, calloused in a way that didn't match the billionaire image. She noticed he held the handshake a second too long, then released it abruptly. They sat. The lawyers began their performance. Terms. Conditions. Liability clauses. Ava heard maybe half of it. She kept noticing small things, Julian's thumb rubbing against his index finger in a nervous gesture. The way he looked at her, then away, like she was something he wasn't supposed to see clearly. Section 14.3, her lawyer said. Mr. Ashcroft has requested an amendment. Ava's attention snapped back. What kind of amendment? Julian spoke before his lawyer could. I want you to have decision-making authority. In case of medical emergency. Your body, your choice. His lawyer stiffened. Mr. Ashcroft, we discussed this. The standard contract. Change it. Julian's eyes stayed on Ava. She should have control over what happens to her. Something in Ava's chest cracked open. Why? Julian's jaw tightened. Because I've already made that choice once. I won't make it again. The room went quiet. Ava's lawyer leaned in. Can we have a moment? In the hallway, her lawyer spoke in urgent whispers. This is unusual. Intended parents don't give up this kind of control. It could be a positive sign, or it could indicate. It's fine, Ava said. Change it. Because she'd just seen what she'd been looking for since the moment Julian walked in. Cracks. Deep ones. The kind she recognized. The kind that made people walk into rivers. When they returned, the amendment was signed. The lawyers packed up their folders, discussing next steps that Ava barely heard. Julian stood. Thank you, he said quietly. For doing this. You're paying me. It came out sharper than she'd intended. Yes. But still. Thank you. He turned to leave. Mr. Ashcroft? The name felt wrong in her mouth. Too formal. Too distant. He stopped. Why do you want a child? She hadn't planned to ask. The question just surfaced. His hand tightened on his briefcase handle. Because I'm running out of time. Then he was gone. Ava stood in the empty room, heart pounding for reasons she couldn't name. Her phone buzzed. Clinic. Implantation scheduled for next week. Please review pre-procedure instructions. She stared at the message. Your body, your choice, Julian had said. But Ava had stopped believing she had choices 3 years ago, when she'd failed to see the signs in someone she loved. She was just trying to save whoever was left. Okay, let's talk about this. Julian just gave Ava control over her own body in a situation where he legally didn't have to. Is that respect? Or is it guilt? And more importantly, if you were Ava, would you trust him? Hit that like button if you're invested in this story, and comment below with your gut reaction. I want to know what you're thinking right now. The implantation was clinical, painless, and deeply strange. Ava lay on the examination table while doctors discussed embryo quality in the same tone her mother's oncologist used for tumor markers. Numbers. Percentages. Probabilities. You'll need to rest for 48 hours, the doctor said. No strenuous activity. Someone should stay with you. I'll be fine alone. The nurse's smile was practiced sympathy. It's standard protocol. Is there someone we can call? Ava thought of her mother, currently between chemo rounds. Her few remaining friends, most of whom had drifted away after Daniel's death because grief made people uncomfortable. I'll manage. She was signing discharge papers when Julian appeared in the doorway. I'll take her home, he said. The nurse looked between them, clearly recalculating the relationship. Oh, of course, mister. That's not necessary, Ava interrupted. Julian's expression didn't change. Protocol requires supervision. I'm supervising. In the car, a black sedan that probably cost more than Ava's annual salary, they sat in uncomfortable silence while his driver navigated center city traffic. You didn't have to do this, Ava finally said. I know. Then why? Julian watched the city blur past. Because if this works, it's my responsibility. All of it. I'm not your responsibility. Aren't you? He turned to look at her. For the next 9 months. Ava's hands tightened in her lap. That's not how this works. The contract. The contract, Julian said quietly, doesn't cover half of what this actually is. Before Ava could respond, her phone rang. The hospital. Her stomach dropped. I need to take this. Julian nodded. Ms. Monroe? Your mother's been admitted. She's stable, but the doctor wants to discuss treatment options. Can you come in? Ava closed her eyes. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She hung up. I need to go to Temple University Hospital. Is everything? It's my mother. Can your driver? She stopped. Never mind. I'll catch a cab. We'll take you. You don't have to. Ava. The use of her first name startled them both. Let me do this one thing. So she did. Temple University Hospital's oncology ward had become more familiar to Ava than her own apartment. She knew which vending machines worked, which nurses worked which shifts, where the good coffee was, nowhere. Her mother looked smaller every visit. Cancer did that, shrunk people from the inside out. Hey, Mom. Linda Monroe's eyes opened. Baby, you didn't have to come. Yes, I did. Ava pulled up a chair, took her mother's hand. The skin was paper-thin, bruised from repeated IVs. The doctor said the tumors aren't responding. Her mother's voice was matter-of-fact. They want to try a different protocol. More aggressive. More expensive, Ava translated. Okay. We'll do it. Ava. Her mother's grip tightened. You know I'm grateful for what you're doing. But this surrogacy thing. Don't. I need to say this. What you're doing, carrying a baby for money, it doesn't sit right with me. It's not. Not what? Not moral. Ava's voice cracked. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't spent every night asking myself if I'm selling something I shouldn't? Sweetheart. But you know what's less moral? Letting you die because I can't afford treatment. So yeah, I'm doing something uncomfortable. But it's my choice. Silence. Her mother's eyes filled. You're so much stronger than I ever was. No. I'm just more desperate. A soft knock interrupted them. Julian stood in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in hand. I'm sorry, he said. The nurse said you might want coffee. I can leave. Mom, this is... Ava hesitated. This is Julian. The father. Linda's gaze sharpened, assessing. Come in. Julian entered cautiously, handed Ava a coffee. She noticed he'd somehow gotten it right. Cream, no sugar. Mrs. Monroe. I'm sorry to intrude. You're not intruding. You're part of this, whether we're comfortable with it or not. Linda studied him. My daughter is doing something extraordinary for you. I hope you understand that. I do. Do you? Linda's voice carried steel Ava rarely heard. Because from where I'm sitting, this arrangement benefits you a great deal more than it benefits her. Julian didn't flinch. You're right. The admission surprised them both. Which is why, Julian continued, I've arranged to cover your medical expenses. All of them. Independent of the surrogacy contract. Ava stood abruptly. What? The bill from your mother's last admission is $47,000. This new protocol they're recommending will cost another $60,000, at least. I'm covering it. No. Ava's hands shook. Absolutely not. That's not part of our agreement. It's not part of the surrogacy agreement, Julian corrected. This is separate. It's charity. It's gratitude. It's you buying my compliance. Ava's voice rose. It's making sure I don't change my mind, don't back out, don't. Ava. Her mother's weak voice cut through. Maybe you should listen to what he's offering. Mom. I'm dying, baby. We can pretend I'm not, but we both know the numbers. If this treatment gives me 6 more months, and this man is willing to pay for it. She looked at Julian. What do you want in return? Nothing. Everyone wants something. Julian's jaw tightened. I want to feel like I'm not exploiting your daughter's desperation. That's what I want. The honesty of it hung in the air. Ava sank back into her chair. I can't accept this. Then don't think of it as accepting. Think of it as... Julian searched for words. Think of it as me balancing a scale that's already tilted too far in my favor. That's not how this works. Then tell me how it should work. Julian's facade cracked slightly. Tell me how I'm supposed to sleep at night knowing I'm paying you $85,000 to risk your life growing my child, while your mother dies because you can't afford her treatment. Tell me how that's ethical. How that's fair. Ava had no answer. Her mother squeezed her hand. Let him help, Ava. So she did. Hating it. Hating him, a little. Hating herself more. The pregnancy took on the first try. Ava stared at the positive test, alone in her bathroom, and felt nothing. Then, everything. Then too much to process. She called the clinic. They scheduled an ultrasound. The coordinator's voice was bright with congratulations that felt scripted. She didn't call Julian. That felt like crossing a line. He called her. The clinic informed me, he said. No preamble. How are you feeling? Fine. Ava. I'm fine. It's early. I'm just processing. Silence on the line. Can I see you? Julian asked. Not at the clinic. Just coffee or tea. Whatever you can have now. Why? Because I want to make sure you're okay. I'm not your responsibility, Ava said, repeating the mantra that felt less true each time. Maybe not. But I'd like to check anyway. They met at a cafe near Rittenhouse Square. Ava ordered ginger tea. Julian ordered black coffee he didn't drink. You look pale, he observed. Morning sickness is a misnomer. It's all-day sickness. Is there anything that helps? Crackers. Spite. The knowledge that this is temporary. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. How's your mother? Starting the new treatment next week. The doctors are cautiously optimistic. Which I think is code for we'll try, but don't get your hopes up. Julian's fingers drummed against his cup. I want to be honest with you about something. Ava's stomach tightened. Okay. My wife died in childbirth. 6 years ago. The cafe noise faded to white static. She had an undiagnosed heart condition. The pregnancy put too much strain on it. By the time the doctors realized. He stopped. I had to choose. Her or the baby. What did you choose? Her. She chose the baby. Julian's voice went flat. She'd signed an advance directive I didn't know about. When she coded, they followed her wishes. Performed an emergency C-section. She bled out on the table. Ava couldn't breathe. The baby lived for 3 days. Long enough for me to hold her. Not long enough for anything else. Jesus, Julian. So when I amended that contract clause, when I said you should have control over your own body, that's why. I won't make that choice again. I won't play God with someone else's life. Ava's hand moved instinctively to her still flat stomach. Why are you telling me this? Because you're looking for cracks in me. I can see it. You've been looking since the first time we met. His eyes met hers. So here they are. I'm not whole. I'm barely functional most days. And I'm terrified that by asking you to do this, I'm going to destroy you too. You didn't ask. I signed up. Did you? Or did circumstances give you no choice? The question landed like a physical blow. I need you to know, Julian continued, that if at any point this becomes too much, the pregnancy, the arrangement, any of it, you can walk away. I'll still cover your mother's treatment. The money is yours regardless. You don't owe me a child. That's not how contracts work. Fuck the contract. The profanity sounded wrong in his careful voice. I'm talking about what's right. Ava's eyes stung. Nothing about this situation is right. It's a transaction built on my desperation and your grief. We're both just using each other to fill holes that can't be filled. I know. So what do we do? Julian's laugh was bitter. I have no idea. They sat in silence, two broken people bound together by biology and circumstance, both wondering if they were making the biggest mistake of their lives. Ava's phone buzzed. The clinic. First ultrasound scheduled, next Thursday, 10 a.m. Intended parent has requested to attend. Please confirm. She showed Julian the message. Do you want to come? Do you want me there? Ava thought about it. About boundaries and professional distance and all the walls she'd built. Yeah, she admitted. I do. If you're feeling the weight of this story right now, hit that subscribe button. Because what happens next is going to test everything Ava and Julian think they know about themselves. And I need you here for it. Comment below. Do you think Julian is being honest, or is he manipulating Ava's emotions? I'm curious what your gut says. The ultrasound technician was relentlessly cheerful. Julian sat in the corner of the exam room, hands clasped, while Ava lay on the table trying not to think about how vulnerable this position was, physically, emotionally. Let's see what we've got, the technician said, applying cold gel to Ava's abdomen. The monitor flickered. Gray shapes that meant nothing to Ava. Then, a sound. Fast, rhythmic. Like a train at distance. There's your heartbeat, the technician said. Strong and healthy. Ava's throat closed. Julian stood without seeming to decide to, moving closer. His eyes fixed on the screen. Actually, the technician said, moving the wand slightly. There are your heartbeats. Plural. The room tilted. I'm sorry, what? Ava managed. Twins. See. 2 distinct sacs, 2 heartbeats. Looks like you're having, the technician paused, adjusting the angle. Interesting. What's interesting? Julian's voice was tight. One of the embryos is measuring smaller. Not uncommon with twins, but... She tapped on the keyboard. I want to bring the doctor in. The next 30 minutes were a blur of medical terminology. The doctor explained calmly, professionally. 2 embryos had implanted. One was from the fertility clinic transfer. The other, based on size and development, was approximately 3 weeks older. I don't understand, Ava said. The doctor's expression was carefully neutral. Were you sexually active in the weeks before the implantation? The room spun. No, I haven't. Ava stopped. Then, wait. A night 6 weeks ago. Her ex, Marcus. The one who'd resurfaced after 2 years, sober and apologetic. One night of weakness and wine and trying to remember what it felt like to be wanted. She'd taken Plan B the next morning. Apparently, it hadn't worked. One of the twins isn't mine. Julian's voice was flat. Biologically, no, the doctor confirmed. Ms. Monroe, were you aware you were pregnant when you underwent the implantation? No. God, no. I wouldn't have. Ava couldn't finish. Julian walked out of the room. Ava found him in the parking garage, leaning against his car, breathing like he'd run a marathon. I didn't know, she said. I know. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. He laughed, sharp and humorless. Actually, it's almost perfect. Cosmically perfect. I try to have a child, and instead I get, what? Half a child? Someone else's baby sharing space with mine. Julian, do you know who the father is? Ava's cheeks burned. My ex. It was one time. A mistake. Does he know you're pregnant? No. We haven't spoken since. Julian ran his hands through his hair. Okay. What do you want to do? What do I want? Ava's voice rose. I want to go back 6 weeks and not be so fucking lonely that I slept with a man I don't even like. I want to not be carrying twins, one of which is yours and one of which is a reminder of my own stupidity. That's not what I meant. I meant, Julian forced himself to slow down. Legally, you have options. If you want to terminate. No. Ava, you don't have to. I said no. She wrapped her arms around her stomach. I don't know how to explain this, but they're both real now. I heard their heartbeats. I can't just choose one. Julian closed his eyes. Then what? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. His phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. You should answer that, Ava said. Julian checked the screen, went pale. It's my cardiologist. He answered. Ava watched his face change, shock, then resignation. I understand. Yes. I'll come in tomorrow. He hung up. What is it? My heart condition. It's progressing faster than they projected. They want to discuss timeline. Timeline? How long I have? Julian said it matter-of-factly, like reporting the weather. Apparently the answer is 18 months, maybe 2 years. Less time than it takes to raise a child past infancy. Ava sat down on the concrete, legs giving out. You're dying. Yes. And you didn't think to mention this before asking someone to carry your baby? I thought I had more time. I thought. His voice cracked. I thought I could at least see them born. Be a father, even briefly. Leave something behind that wasn't just money and buildings. This is insane. Ava's laugh bordered on hysterical. I'm carrying twins, one yours, one not, for a man who's going to die before they learn to walk. This whole situation is. I'll release you from the contract, Julian said. Effective immediately. You keep the money, I cover your mother's treatment regardless. You can decide what to do about the pregnancy without me complicating it. What about your baby? My baby, Julian repeated softly. God, I don't even know which one is mine. How would we even tell? Genetic testing. After they're born. And if you keep them both? Ava hadn't let herself think that far. I don't know. If you don't want to keep my child, I have family. My sister. She can't have children of her own. She'd. Stop. Ava stood. Just stop. I can't think about this right now. I can't think about splitting up twins or raising someone else's baby or any of it. I need to go home. Let me drive you. No. I need to be alone. She walked away, leaving Julian standing in the parking garage, surrounded by expensive cars and the ruins of whatever plan he'd thought he was making. Okay, I need to know what you're thinking right now. Because this story just went somewhere I bet you didn't expect. Are you Team Ava? Team Julian? Or are you just as confused as they are? Comment below, and smash that like button if you're still with me. Because we're not even halfway through this journey. Ava spent 3 days avoiding Julian's calls. She told her mother she had the flu. Spent hours researching twin pregnancies, genetic testing, custody arrangements for surrogates who kept babies. The forums were full of horror stories. On day 4, someone knocked on her apartment door. Not Julian. A woman in her 30s, expensively dressed, with Julian's dark eyes. I'm Rebecca, Julian's sister. Can we talk? Against her better judgment, Ava let her in. Rebecca sat on Ava's second-hand couch, looking around the small apartment with an expression Ava couldn't read. My brother told me about the situation, Rebecca said. The twins. Did he tell you he's dying? Julian's been dying for years. Just slowly. Rebecca's voice was matter-of-fact. He's decided to speed it up. Ava's blood ran cold. What do you mean? He's refusing treatment. The new protocol his doctors recommended, it might buy him 5 more years, but with significant side effects. He's declining it. Why? Because he's a self-destructive martyr who thinks he doesn't deserve to live. Rebecca's mask cracked. He's been like this since Claire died. Punishing himself. This surrogacy was supposed to be him moving forward, but instead it's just another way for him to suffer. I didn't ask for any of this. I know. That's why I'm here. Rebecca leaned forward. If you keep both babies, I want to help. Financial support, housing, whatever you need. And when Julian dies, don't. We have to talk about it. When he dies, his estate will go to his children. All of them. Even if we don't know which twin is biologically his, legally. I don't care about his money. But you care about your mother's medical bills. Your own survival. The practical realities of raising 2 children alone. Rebecca's gaze was sharp. I'm not judging you. I'm offering you options. Because my brother won't. He's too busy wallowing in noble suffering. Ava's hands shook. Get out. Excuse me. Get out of my apartment. I don't know what your brother told you, but I'm not a problem to be solved with money. These babies, her voice broke. They're real. They're not assets to be allocated or complications to be managed. And if Julian is giving up on life, that's his choice. But don't come here and try to plan for my future like I'm part of his estate. Rebecca stood. You're right. I apologize. At the door, she paused. For what it's worth. I think you're exactly what my brother needs. Someone who won't let him hide in his grief. I'm not trying to save him. I know. That's why it might actually work. After she left, Ava sat in the silence of her apartment, hands on her stomach, feeling 2 tiny lives growing inside her. Neither of them asked permission. Neither of them cared about contracts or complications. They just were. Do we have an obligation to save people who are drowning in their own grief? Or is it okay to say, I can't carry your pain and mine? Because Ava is at that crossroads right now. What would you do? Tell me in the comments. Ava's mother died on a Thursday. Not from the cancer, from a hospital-acquired infection her weakened immune system couldn't fight. She went from stable to critical in 18 hours. Ava was 14 weeks pregnant when she held her mother's hand and watched her slip away. Julian found her in the hospital chapel at 3 a.m., still wearing the clothes she'd been wearing for 2 days. Rebecca called me, he said softly. I'm so sorry. Ava didn't look up. You paid for treatment that didn't work. Ava. $30,000 in experimental therapy. For what? 6 extra weeks. Those 6 weeks mattered. Did they? Ava's laugh was hollow. She spent them vomiting from chemo. Barely conscious. In pain. Maybe I should have just let her go with dignity instead of. Don't. Julian sat beside her. Don't do that to yourself. Why not? You do it to yourself constantly. What? Rebecca told me. That you're refusing treatment. That you're choosing to die. Julian's jaw tightened. She had no right. You're growing a child you'll never see graduate kindergarten. You're dying on purpose, and you hired me to carry your biological legacy because you're too much of a coward to actually live. Ava turned to face him. My mother fought for every extra day. And you're throwing away years because of guilt over something that wasn't your fault. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? You think I don't understand survivor's guilt? I watched my fiancé die because I missed the signs. I've spent 3 years asking myself if I could have saved him if I just paid more attention, loved him better, been enough. Julian's expression shifted. Your fiancé killed himself. 2 weeks before our wedding. No note. No obvious warning signs I recognized. Ava's voice was steady now, carved from exhaustion and grief. So yeah, I know about guilt. About wondering if you deserve to keep living when someone you loved didn't. But you know what? I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Because giving up doesn't honor the dead. It just creates more loss. Silence. I'm starting treatment, Julian said quietly. What? The protocol my doctors recommended. I'm starting it. He looked at her. You're right. I've been hiding in grief, calling it nobility. But if I'm going to be a father, even briefly, I owe it to my child to actually try. Ava felt something crack in her chest. Julian. I'm not promising I'll survive. The odds aren't great. But I'll try. For. He paused. For both of them. Even if one isn't biologically mine. You don't have to. I know. But I want to. His hand hovered near hers, not quite touching. If you'll let me. Ava took his hand. They sat in the chapel, two broken people who'd lost too much, holding onto each other in the dark. The funeral was small. Ava's mother had outlived most of her friends. Julian came. Sat in the back. Didn't intrude. Afterward, at Ava's apartment, he helped pack her mother's things. Photos, jewelry, a recipe box Ava couldn't bear to open. She didn't approve of the surrogacy, Ava said, folding her mother's favorite cardigan. Thought it was morally wrong. Selling my body. Was she right? I don't know. Maybe. But I'd do it again. Julian set down a box. Even knowing how complicated it became? Especially knowing. Ava met his eyes. These babies, they're the last choice my mother and I made together. She let you pay for her treatment because she wanted me to have options. To not be drowning in debt when she was gone. So yeah, it started as a transaction. But it's not that anymore. What is it now? Ava's hand moved to her stomach, now visibly rounded. I don't know. But I know I'm keeping them. Both of them. Even though one is your ex's? Especially because one is my ex's. She laughed softly. You asked me once what I wanted. Here's the truth. I want to raise these kids. I want to give them the love my mother gave me. I want to be their mom, not their incubator. What about the contract? Fuck the contract. Ava used his words back at him. I'll return the $85,000. We'll figure out custody arrangements for your biological child. But I'm not giving them up. Julian was quiet for a long moment. I have a better idea, he said finally. Don't return the money. Use it to find a place big enough for 2 kids. And let me be part of their lives. Both of them. Julian. I know which baby is biologically mine. The clinic ran the tests. He pulled out a folded paper. They asked if I wanted to know. I said yes. Ava's hands shook as she took it. And I'm not going to tell you. What? Why? Because it doesn't matter. Julian's voice was firm. You're right. They're both real. Both yours. And if you'll let me, I want to be their father. Not just the biological one. Both of them. For however long I have. Ava couldn't speak. I'm not asking you to love me, Julian continued. I'm not asking for romance or a relationship or anything you're not ready to give. I'm just asking to be present. To be part of this impossible, complicated, beautiful thing we accidentally created. You're going to die. Probably. But not today. And maybe not for years, if the treatment works. He stepped closer. I wasted 6 years being dead while my heart was still beating. I don't want to waste whatever time I have left. Ava pressed her hands to her face. This is insane. Yes. We barely know each other. We could change that. I don't know how to do this. How to let someone in. How to trust that you won't. She couldn't finish. Disappear? Die? Hurt you? Julian's voice was gentle. I can't promise I won't die. But I can promise I won't disappear. And I'll try my damnedest not to hurt you. That's not much of a guarantee. It's the only one I have. Ava looked at him. Really looked. At the scars and exhaustion and stubborn hope in his eyes. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Let's try. Not a relationship. Not a contract. Just trying. Julian smiled, genuinely smiled, for the first time since she'd met him. I can work with trying. They built something neither had a name for. Julian helped Ava find an apartment in Queen Village. 2 bedrooms, close to good schools, affordable even without his money, though he helped with the deposit anyway, and she let him. He came to doctor's appointments. Not as the intended parent anymore. Just as Julian. The babies grew. Ava's body changed. They navigated it together, awkwardly at first. Is it weird that I find pregnancy beautiful? Julian asked once, watching her struggle into a maternity dress. Yes. I'm shaped like a planet. A planet I find beautiful. That's the worst pickup line I've ever heard. I wasn't. He stopped. Was it a pickup line? Ava looked at him. They'd been carefully not defining what they were for months now. Friends felt insufficient. Co-parents wasn't right either. Do you want it to be? She asked. Julian crossed the room, stopped just short of touching her. I want whatever you're comfortable with. That's a non-answer. Okay. Honest answer. He took a breath. I'm falling for you. Have been since the day you called me out in that hospital chapel. But you've been through hell, and I'm on borrowed time, and I don't want to complicate this more than it is. Ava's heart hammered. What if I want complicated? Do you? She kissed him. It was gentle, tentative, a question more than an answer. Julian's hand came up to cup her face. When they broke apart, his eyes were bright. I'm still dying, he said. I know. And we still don't know which baby is biologically mine. I know. And this is probably a terrible idea. Definitely. Ava smiled. But I'm tired of making safe choices. So they didn't. The pregnancy wasn't easy. At 28 weeks, Ava developed preeclampsia. Hospitalized for monitoring, teetering on the edge of crisis. Julian slept in a chair beside her bed for 5 days. You should go home, Ava said. You have a company to run. I delegated. Julian. I'm not leaving. His voice was firm. Last time I was in a hospital like this, I left Claire alone for a meeting. She coded while I was gone. I didn't get to say goodbye. Ava's hand found his. I'm not going to code. You don't know that. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. The doctors keep using words like concerning and at risk. So no, I'm not leaving. They monitored. Adjusted medications. Waited. At 32 weeks, the doctors made the call. We need to deliver, the obstetrician said. The babies are developed enough, and your blood pressure is unstable. It's time. Everything happened fast after that. Operating room. Bright lights. Julian in scrubs, gripping Ava's hand. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. The first cry came at 4:47 p.m. A girl, 5 pounds 2 ounces. The second at 4:51 p.m. A boy, 4 pounds 14 ounces. Both small, but breathing. Fighting. Julian cut both umbilical cords, tears streaming down his face. They placed the babies on Ava's chest, 2 tiny humans, red-faced and furious and perfect. We did it, Julian whispered. Ava couldn't speak through the sobs. Have you ever experienced a moment so overwhelming that words just fail? Where all you can do is feel. That's where Ava and Julian are right now. If you've had that moment, a birth, a loss, a transformation, tell me about it in the comments. I think we connect most deeply through these wordless experiences. The NICU became their world for 6 weeks. They took shifts. Julian held the baby's skin to skin while Ava pumped breast milk. Ava sang lullabies while Julian read to them from a book of poetry that had belonged to his late wife. What should we name them? Ava asked one night, both babies finally stable enough to breathe without assistance. Julian had been thinking about this. You choose. They're yours too. They're ours. He smiled. But you carried them. You choose. So she did. Claire, Ava said, looking at their daughter. After your wife. If that's okay. Julian's expression shattered and rebuilt itself. It's perfect. And Daniel. After my fiancé. Two ghosts watching over them. Two people who would have loved them, Ava corrected. They brought the twins home on a Tuesday, 6 months after Ava's mother had died. Julian's treatment was working. Not curing him, that wasn't possible, but buying time. Maybe years. Maybe enough. They still hadn't told anyone which baby was biologically his. Does it matter? Ava asked, watching Julian feed Claire while Daniel slept against her shoulder. Not even a little bit. Marcus, Ava's ex, had signed away parental rights when she contacted him. Wanted nothing to do with a child he'd accidentally created. Julian legally adopted Daniel the same day. We're a family, Julian said one night, all 4 of them tangled together on the couch, exhausted and milk-stained and happy. An unconventional one. The best kind. Ava looked at him. This man she'd met as a transaction. Who'd become so much more. I love you, she said. First time. Julian's eyes widened. You don't have to. I know. I'm saying it anyway. She shifted Daniel slightly. You're probably going to die before these kids graduate high school. Our whole relationship is built on grief and desperation and a contract that doesn't exist anymore. It's messy and complicated and nothing like what I imagined. And yet I love you. Present tense. Right now. Not despite the complications, but including them. Julian set Claire in her bassinet, crossed to Ava, kissed her deeply. I love you too, he whispered against her lips. For however long I have. Then we make the most of it. If this story has touched you at all, if you felt even a fraction of what Ava and Julian are feeling, please hit that like button and leave a comment. Tell me, what does love mean to you? Because this story has challenged everything I thought I knew about it. And I think it might have done the same for you. Epilogue. 5 years later. Julian didn't die. The experimental treatment worked better than anyone projected. His heart stabilized. Time stretched from months to years. Claire and Daniel turned 5 on a Saturday in April. The party was in their backyard, a small house in the suburbs they'd bought together, both their names on the deed. Ava watched Julian chase the twins through the grass, laughing, alive. Rebecca approached, holding a glass of wine. I underestimated you. Most people do. I thought you'd keep the babies and take his money and disappear. Instead you. She gestured at the scene. Built this. We built it, Ava corrected. Together. Do they know yet? Which one is biologically his? Ava smiled. No. And we're not telling them. As far as Claire and Daniel are concerned, they have 2 parents who love them equally. That's all that matters. Julian burned the test results, didn't he? Years ago. Rebecca laughed. He would. Later, after the party, after the twins were asleep, Ava and Julian sat on their porch watching the sunset. I've been thinking about something, Julian said. Dangerous. He smiled. Marry me. Ava turned to look at him. What? Marry me. Not because of the kids or logistics or anything practical. Just because I want to stand in front of everyone we love and promise to choose you, every day, for the rest of my life. However long that is. You know the statistics. Your condition could kill me tomorrow. Or I could live to 90. We don't get guarantees, Ava. We never did. She thought about her mother. About Daniel. About all the people she'd loved and lost. Then about Claire and Daniel upstairs. About Julian beside her. About the life they'd built from broken pieces. Yes, she said. Yes. Let's get married. Let's make promises we can't guarantee we'll keep. Let's choose each other anyway. Julian pulled her close. Inside, one of the twins cried. They both stood to check, had become so instinctive they moved in sync. In the nursery, Daniel had kicked off his blanket. Claire slept peacefully beside him. Julian covered Daniel. Ava adjusted Claire's stuffed animal. They stood together, watching their children breathe. "Do you ever wonder?" Julian whispered. "Which one?" "No," Ava said. "Do you?" "Not anymore. Because it didn't matter. Had never mattered. They'd started as a contract. Became a complication. And somewhere along the way, through grief and fear and impossible choices, they'd become a family. Not despite the mess. Because of it. What would you do differently if you knew you had limited time? Would you take more risks? Love more openly? Build something beautiful from broken pieces? Because that's what this story has been about from the beginning. Not the fairy tale ending, but the choice to keep building even when the foundation is cracked. Tell me in the comments, what are you building right now? What are you choosing despite the fear? If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it made you feel, please share it. Because stories like this remind us that love doesn't have to be perfect to be real. Subscribe for more stories that challenge the way you see love, family, and what it means to be human. And remember, you don't need a perfect story. You just need the courage to write your own. Until next time. The end.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. It truly means a lot to me. If this video touched your heart or resonated with you in any way, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to Emotional Voyage. Your support helps us reach more souls on this journey. Until next time, take care of your heart.